Hello and welcome to Time About the Movies Flashback, as today we're taking a look at the 5 films released on December 19th, 1986. And we have 5 notable movies, a lot of them really good ones. Although one of them, though, is technically a classic Disney movie. And actually, I'm kind of looking at the 1986 holiday schedule in terms of the box office in general, and we have a lot of really good movies coming up in the next couple of weeks, so I'm definitely looking forward to talking about all these different movies here. But we're going to start off with the big new releases before the holiday comes around, and the first one of them being Rick Moranis, Ellen Greene, Vincent Gardenia, Steve Martin, starring in the sci-fi musical comedy classic that is Little Shop of Horrors.
It all began in this little shop.
Ow! Damn roses!
Where, strange as it seems, something extraordinary happens.
I'm afraid it isn't feeling very well today.
Now isn't that pistol?
What kind of a weirdo plot is that, Seagull?
Little Shop of Horrors, a story about a boy.
I've given you sunlight, I've given you rain. It looks like you're not happy unless I open a vein.
Where did you get such a weird plan?
A girl.
You don't make nice voice when you live on Get Down, Schnick. Now this is my date, my boyfriend.
A florist.
I'm telling you, Audrey, he's not a good, clean kind of boy.
He's a professional.
You'll be a dentist. You have a talent for causing things pain. Son, be a dentist. People will pay you to be inhumane.
I've been saving all month for this. I think I need a root canal. I'm sure I need a long, slow root canal.
And a plant.
All night long. How am I supposed to keep on feeding you?
Watch me now. I'm just a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm vain. I'm just a mean green mother from outer space, and it looks like you've been had.
Yes!
Rick Moranis.
Man's a total disgrace to the dental profession.
Ellen Greene.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, what?
That's better. Vincent Gardenia, with special guest appearances by Steve Martin, John Candy, and Bill Murray.
It's your professionalism that I respect.
Little Shop of Horrors.
I gotta tell you people out there, it was taking me everything I could to not start singing along to the songs in this movie, because they are so goddamn catchy. But then again, that's the power of songs written by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. This was one of their first big movies. I think it was their first big movie they worked on before they eventually wanted to become Disney's notable composers for most of their 80s Renaissance the 80s Renaissance animated films. You know, composers, songwriters, that type of people. But this is, of course, Little Shop of Horrors, and of course it's based off of the off-Broadway musical of the same name made by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, but which was in itself an adaptation of the Roger Corman movie from the 1960s. And in the movie you have a flower shop worker, played by Rick Moranis, who discovers a sentient carnivorous plant that feeds on human blood, voiced by Levi Stubbs. You also have the owner of the flower shop, played by Vincent Gardenia, his daughter, played by Ellen Greene, who's dating the dentist, played by Steve Martin. And you got special appearances by, as it says in the trailer, Jim Belushi, John Candy, Christopher Guest, and Bill Murray. Well, technically, Steve Martin is billed as having a special appearance along with Candy and Murray, but Christopher Guest and Jim Belushi, I guess they weren't big enough names at the time to be featured in the trailer overall, although they are featured in the credits. But, I mean, like I said before, man, when I was recording that trailer, it took me everything in my power not to start singing along to those songs in this movie, because these are just such great songs, man. The movie is just a ton of fun. Rick Moranis is great in here, Vincent Gardenia, Ellen Greene, Steve Martin as the dentist. I mean, his song is amazing, and that trailer does not show the really good version of that song in there. It feels like an early version of it before we get to the one featured in the movie, but man, it's incredible, man. Like, the songs in here are great. You have a great, solid cast overall. You know, a lot of great performances all across the board in here. Just all kinds of different things that work to the film's advantage. Levi Stubbs as Audrey, too, is just top-notch. And the effects work is amazing. This is practical effects. It's like this is done by the same people who did I could be wrong on this. I think this is Jim Henson's production company that worked on it. I think I'm wrong on that, but I mean, there's a lot of people that worked with Jim Henson involved in this movie, including his son Brian Henson, and not only that, Frank Oz, one of the main Muppet puppeteers, is the director of this movie. So it wouldn't be a surprise if it actually was that, but regardless, it's just still a great movie overall. It's just so much fun. It's very funny. It's well done. Visually, it's amazing. The music is great. What more do I even need to say about this movie, man? Little Shop of Horrors, a classic movie. It has to be seen to be believed. Just a terrific film. What more can I say, man? Little Shop of Horrors. So let's go ahead and move on to the classic that was re-released this weekend because, you know, Disney saw that Universal was putting out an American Tale to try to combat the family audiences, and they said, "Oh yeah, Universal and Steven Spielberg, well, we'll see your little tale about a mouse trying to get to New York, is trying to find his family in New York, and bring out one of our classic Disney movies."
This Christmas season, Walt Disney Pictures unwraps a very special holiday treat. Lady and the Tramp. She's a lucky little lady who's been catered to, pampered, and indulged. He's a wild and carefree rascal, totally independent, always into mischief. No! She's a little angel. He's full of the devil. But put them together, and it can only lead to one thing. It's love unleashed.
But they love him.
This is living.
Breaks a new heart every day.
I gotta get you out.
He's a tramp, but I love him, and I wish that I could travel his way.
It's coming your way this Christmas.
Look who's here. Butcher, he's got a new girlfriend.
You're cordially invited to share the magic, the romance, and the adventure of one of animation's most unforgettable tales.
Open up your eyes to what a dog's life can really be.
Open your heart to Walt Disney's classic, Lady and the Tramp.
Okay, technically, maybe they weren't really that afraid of an American Tale coming in there because this was kind of the tradition to release a Disney animated classic for the holiday season. But then again, it is kind of interesting timing that they put this out around the same time there. But then again, like I said, it's mostly because it was kind of their norm at that point. And, you know, Lady and the Tramp, back in theaters for the holiday season, of course, a Disney classic. And, you know, this is one where I really don't need to explain too much about it because I think you all really know the story of this. You have Lady, a pampered Cocker Spaniel, as she goes from puppy to adult, dealing with changes in her family, including the birth of a new baby, and the fact that she's not going to get as much attention, and you have her falling in love with this homeless mutt named Tramp, and of course, they eventually will get together at the end, and it's just, again, not much more I can really add to this, hasn't already been said. It's one of the great Disney love stories, and kind of like with Little Shop of Horrors, has a soundtrack that is just so memorable and so unforgettable. Like, there really is not much more I can really add to this film that hasn't already been said already, but this was the last time it was re-released in theaters because you know, this was kind of around the time that Disney was beginning to put their classic movies out on home video, and you know, they had done it with Pinocchio a couple years ago, and I think before that they did it with Dumbo, and so now you have this one that's going to get an eventual video release around the time. So I guess they figured there's no real reason to put this back in theaters again. But I mean, honestly, if I was running Disney, I would still put these movies out in theaters because it's fun to see these movies on a big screen. Like, I would have loved to see the Lady and the Tramp on the big screen. A lot of Disney classics I would have loved to see on the big screen, honestly. And actually, I am kind of glad that they're doing it, but they're doing it with their more recent stuff, like maybe the last 30 years. Like, we just had Toy Story this weekend, and you know, we've had Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas, but if I was running Disney's marketing department, I would probably make a strong push to say, hey guys, maybe we should start re-releasing some of these classic movies too. I think people would love to come and see these movies as well. I mean, that's my personal take on it, but it doesn't really matter. They're out on Disney Plus. You can find most of them on 4K and Blu-ray anyway. But it would have been nice to see these. It would be nice to see this on a big theatrical screen, like this was a tradition back then. I mean, it's a great movie overall. There's not really much more I can really add to it that hasn't already been said already. It's just a fun film, very well animated, featuring a great love story, a great voice cast, just a lot of great music. It's Lady and the Tramp, man. It's Lady and the Tramp. What more do I gotta say, man? One of the great Disney classics. So with that said, let's go ahead and go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum with a much more serious movie. Richard Gere and Kim Basinger starring in No Mercy.
What I understand, she's a witness. She may say you didn't see her. He wanted justice. She wanted freedom. Oh, yeah? Well, we thought you'd help. Oh, your boyfriend. I'm gonna get him. Show him that she belongs. That was given to him. Now they want something more. Richard Gere, Kim Basinger, No Mercy, rated R. Starts Friday in the theater near you.
Mercy is for the weak! Sorry, I had to do it. Anyway, Richard Gere plays a Chicago cop on the vengeance trail as he follows his partner's killer to New Orleans to settle his own personal score. Eddie flees through the Louisiana bayous with Michelle Duval, the beautiful Cajun mistress played by Kim Basinger, of a murderous crime lord whose aim to destroy the Chicago detective before he can avenge his partner's murder. Mikhail and Eddie fall for each other, although they clash repeatedly while handcuffed together as they attempt to elude the brutal underworld figure and his henchmen. Standard story overall here, and really, Richard Gere and Kim Basinger are fine in here, I guess, and there is kind of a nice little visual style to the film overall. This is directed by Richard Pierce, who's done a couple of movies that we've talked about, such as The Long Walk Home, Leap of Faith, A Family Thing. Some pretty good movies overall. This one, not so much, and I guess Kim Basinger and Richard Gere like working with each other, because 6 years later they'd be working with each other again on Final Analysis, which certainly was not a good movie, and this one definitely is at least better than that one, so I'll give it that. But other than that, though, pretty standard story, stuff we've seen kind of done before on so many other levels, but yeah, not much more to really add to it per se, so this one you can kind of skip on, No Mercy. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and boy, what a misfire this was. 10 years after John Dillman brought King Kong to the modern generation, he's back with us with a long-awaited sequel, and it's nowhere near as good as that movie. Let's talk about King Kong Lives.
King Kong Lives. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday in theaters everywhere.
Yeah, no shit he's not happy. You're putting him back on the big screen in a piece of shit sequel 10 years after the original film had come out. I mean, that's why he's upset. He's not upset about the fact that he's back. Like, you're putting him in a really god-awful movie, and it's literally a bad movie. Like, it's supposed to be a sequel taking place 10 years after the original King Kong, even though there's no Jessica Lange because she's an Academy Award winner now. She doesn't have any more need to do with this. Jeff Bridges, he's nowhere to be found. Charles Grodin, sorry, can't get him back. But hey, we got Linda Hamilton just coming off The Terminator, so that's our big star. We got John Astin, the original Gomez from the Addams Family, but no, that's not the original Gomez from the Addams Family. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of somebody else entirely. But this is John Astin, of course, from Beverly Hills Cop and Midnight Run. In fact, I feel insulted by not knowing that that's him. Like, good lord. Like, I watched those movies all the time back in the day, but I digress. This is not a good movie, per se, and the studio knew it. This is the type of movie where they put so much money into it, and then they realize that, oh shit, this isn't going to work, and the film... It's so bad that, it's bad when the studio is not even putting clips out there for people. Specifically, one notable example was when Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert wanted to review it on Siskel and Ebert, and the company, the Laurentis Entertainment Group, basically said that the two critics that were allowed to show snippets of the film on TV in their native Chicago, but were forbidden to show the same snippets on the regular Siskel and Ebert show, unless they promised to give it good reviews. Which they did not agree to, obviously, and it's just like, Siskel put it in the best way. They were scared. If you don't believe me or Roger, believe the film company that, think about it, couldn't find a single scene that it wanted you to see. Like, just, wow. Like, I mean, that would be like the literal definition. That would be like, it would be like, what's a good example for me to use here? It would be like if Jerry Jones, just before he made the trade for Micah Parsons, came to Micah and said, "All right, Micah, we'll give you everything you want and then some, but you're going to have to let me take all the credit and talk about, and you'll have to tell people what an amazing guy I really am." And in the right sense, Micah would say, "Fuck no, I'm not going to do that because you're not the greatest guy in the world. Well, if you can't even give me a contract that I'm well deserved of." Like, it'd be something like that, which probably was what actually happened when they traded him to Green Bay, and I bet he's kicking himself right now for letting Micah go to Green Bay. Jerry Jones is, but you get the idea. Like, you don't force somebody to do this type of stuff without ruining their integrity or what they believe is right. And what they did, and what Gene and Roger did, was the right thing to do, because there is no defending this movie. It's so bad. Like, they basically threatened them to give them a good review. Like, the studio couldn't find one single scene to sell the movie on. If you see that trailer again, it is nothing but jump cuts, quick shots. Like, they don't even want to show you the monster because they know how bad it really is. Like, this is an ungodly mess of a movie, man. Like, it's laughably bad. I'll give it that. Like, you'll have a good time laughing your ass off at how stupid it is. But if you're really expecting me to go into this movie and give it the same kind of praise that you would give to the '76 King Kong movie, which is actually a really good movie, it's actually a really solid remake of the original King Kong, done very well. Like, yeah, this one is easily an inferior product to that movie, and it just doesn't work at all, man. This is a lousy movie. When the studio itself knows it's bad and is threatening critics for positive reviews for it, you know you're in a tough spot here. So, yeah, not much more to really add to that one. So why don't we go back ahead and end this show on a much more positive note? How about we take a look at the year's Best Picture winner, and that is Oliver Stone's Platoon.
I volunteered. I dropped out of college and told him I wanted the infantry, combat, Vietnam.
Out of the hole! Take the pain! Take the pain!
I got a bad feeling on this one, all right?
Watch out! Rocket!
Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe, Charlie Sheen.
No such thing as a coward out here. Don't mean nothing.
The first real movie about the war in Vietnam is Platoon, rated R.
The first of many, many, many Vietnam War movies coming out after this, because, well, this movie was such a significant hit. I mean, it was a big box office hit. It was a big awards winner, too. It won 4 Oscars, including Best Director for Stone and Best Picture as well, and rightfully so. You have a story based on Stone's experience from the Vietnam War, following a new U.S. Army volunteer played by Charlie Sheen serving in Vietnam, while his platoon sergeant and squad leader, played by Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe, argue over the morality in the platoon and of the war itself. And again, there's really not much more I can add to this film that hasn't already been said already. It's a cinematic masterpiece that shows Oliver Stone's capabilities as a filmmaker that he would later show down the road, because he would have one big hit after another. This, Born on the 4th of July, JFK, Natural Born Killers. I mean, just one of the great directors back in the day, and he shows his commitment to this project overall. I mean, he was there when this was all happening, so he has more than enough experience to show the audiences what he had to go through, and really, it was just such a well-done movie all across the board. It was a very great movie, from the direction, from the script writing, to the acting involved. A lot of great young talents in this movie. Berenger, Dafoe, Sheen, Keith David, Kevin Dillon, John C. McGinley, Forrest Whitaker, Johnny Depp. Just a ton of great talent in here. The cinematography, top-notch. The sequences, very well done. The music, I mean, that great musical score by Georges Delerue. Like, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. You know, the do-do-do-do-do. I don't even know if I'm doing the right one. It sounds like I'm doing The Godfather, but it's just like do-do-do-do-do-do. That one right there. I would play the actual music, but I'm afraid I'm going to get copyrighted on that. But I mean, it's one of the greatest soundtracks ever, and the movie just works, man. You're so captivated by what's going on in here. You can't take your eyes off the screen. It's such a visibly pleasing movie to look at, and you can see why it won Best Picture. I mean, it's a terrific cinematic achievement that began a number of different other Vietnam movies that were coming out around that time. Most of them were pretty good. Others, more hit than miss, but more miss than hit, but they were good. But this was a really good movie. This was definitely a really solid film, and it deserved every Oscar it got and then some. It should have gotten a lot more, honestly, but it's a fantastic film. I can't recommend it enough. Platoon, seek it out if you haven't seen it already. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies Flashback. And as I said, the 1986 holiday season had a lot of really good movies. That's case in the point with our next 3 films that we get to take a look at. At least 2 of them are really memorable films. Eddie Murphy starring in The Golden Child, and we also have Steve Martin alongside Chevy Chase and Martin Short in John Landis' The Three Amigos. And we also have Crimes of the Heart. So we'll take a look at those 3 movies coming up next week on the show, so be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification button, as well as check out the playlist as well as the previous episode we did. So, with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.